The small town of Blackwood was nestled deep within the dense forests of northern England. It was a place where the past and present seemed to blend, where the air was always thick with fog and whispers of history. But Blackwood held a dark secret that transcended time, a malevolent spirit known as the Eternal Haunter. England, 1572. Martha Whitmore was a midwife in Blackwood, known for her healing touch and kind heart. One fateful night, she was summoned to a grand manor on the outskirts of the village. The lord's wife was in labor, and the situation was dire. Martha hurried through the forest, the full moon casting eerie shadows along her path. As she approached the manor, she felt a chill in the air, colder than any she had felt before. The manor loomed above her, its windows dark and foreboding. Inside, she found the lord's wife in agony, but something else lingered in the room, a presence unseen but palpable. As Martha worked to deliver the child, she felt invisible hands grasp her arms, her neck, and her soul. The air grew heavy, and the candles flickered ominously. With a final chilling breath, the child was born, but the mother was lost. Martha looked into the newborn's eyes and saw not the innocence of life, but the malevolence of death staring back at her. From that night on, Martha was plagued by visions and nightmares. She saw shadows moving in the corners of her home and heard whispers in languages she couldn't understand. Her health declined rapidly, and she spoke of an evil spirit that had attached itself to her soul. One cold morning, she was found dead in her bed, her face frozen in a mask of terror. New York City, 1925. Jack Thompson was a private detective, a man hardened by years of chasing criminals through the dark alleys of New York. One evening, he received a call from a desperate woman named Evelyn Gray. She claimed her husband had gone mad, ranting about a ghost that haunted their apartment. Jack was skeptical but intrigued. He arrived at the Gray residence, a luxurious apartment in the Upper East Side. Evelyn greeted him, her eyes wide with fear. She led him to her husband, Harold, who sat in a corner, rocking back and forth, muttering about a shadow that whispered his name. Jack questioned Harold, but his incoherent ramblings offered little insight. As Jack prepared to leave, he noticed a cold spot in the room, a sudden drop in temperature that sent a shiver down his spine. He turned and saw a shadow moving across the wall, though there was nothing to cast it. That night, Jack experienced vivid nightmares. He saw visions of a woman in 16th century attire, her eyes hollow, her mouth twisted in a scream. He woke in a cold sweat, the sensation of being watched lingering. Over the next few days, Jack's mind unraveled. He saw the shadow everywhere, on the walls, in reflections, in his dreams. He began to hear whispers, a voice calling his name. One morning, he was found dead in his home, a look of pure horror etched on his face. Tokyo, 2035. Dr. Aiko Tanaka was a renowned neuroscientist, leading a team on groundbreaking research into the human mind. She was rational, driven by science, and had no time for superstitions. Yet, she could not ignore the reports from her patients, accounts of a dark figure that haunted their dreams, leaving them in a state of paralyzing fear. Curious, Aiko began to investigate these claims. She discovered a pattern. Each patient described a shadowy figure with an oppressive presence, whispers in an ancient tongue, and a chilling touch that drained their will to live. She delved into historical records and found similar reports spanning centuries, all linked to Blackwood. Determined to find a scientific explanation, Aiko traveled to Blackwood. The town was eerily unchanged, as if frozen in time. She visited the old manor where Martha Whitmore had once worked, and where countless others had met their fate. The air was thick with the weight of history, and something more, an unsettling presence that seemed to watch her every move. That night, in her hotel room, Aiko set up monitoring equipment, determined to capture evidence of the haunting. As she reviewed the footage, she saw the shadow appear, first as a flicker, then growing darker and more defined. Her heart raced as the temperature dropped, her breath visible in the cold air. The shadow moved closer, and she heard whispers in an ancient dialect. Fear gripped her as she realized the spirit was not bound by time or space. It was eternal, relentless. As the shadow enveloped her, Aiko felt a crushing weight on her chest, her vision darkening. She struggled to breathe, to think, but the malevolent force was too strong. The next morning, her colleagues found her lifeless body, her face contorted in terror. The footage was blank, and the equipment was destroyed. The only evidence left was a single chilling whisper caught on the audio, a voice from beyond time, promising to return. The eternal haunter moved through the ages, an evil spirit bound not by time, but by an insatiable hunger for fear. It haunted the living, its malevolence transcending centuries, leaving a trail of broken minds and shattered souls. And as long as there were those who dared to investigate, to seek answers, it would always find a new victim, whispering its ancient curse into the ears of the doomed.